We begin, though, on the scene now in Florida, where the alleged would-be assassin of former President Donald Trump appeared in court today for a pre-detention hearing. And prosecutors releasing new details surrounding that planned shooting. 58-year-old Ryan Wesley Routh has already been charged with possession of a firearm as a convicted felon and possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. Routh also allegedly sent a letter to another civilian detailing his plan months prior to his arrest. National correspondent Liz Lander is joining us now live from Washington. Liz, there's a lot to wrap our heads around today, some new information there. Let's start with that letter. What was in it?
Yeah, Carolyn, as you mentioned, a lot of new information, and especially that letter. We had not heard about this before, but in this filing today that prosecutors released, they talk about how the suspect, as you mentioned, Ryan Wesley Routh, hand wrote a letter and put it in a box that was delivered to a witness. We're not sure who this person was, several months prior to this incident taking place last Sunday. The box also had ammunition in it, a metal pipe, and some other things. But importantly, this letter sort of lays out that he was trying to attempt an assassination against former President Trump. He addressed the letter to the world, and in it, he said, among other things, quote, "This was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump, but I failed you." He goes on to say, "It is up to you now to finish the job, and I will offer $150,000 to whomever can complete it." The letter also talks about former President Trump's foreign policy positions, especially when it comes to the Middle East, and blames him for, quote, unraveling of the situation there. We know that the suspect, Routh, had a lot of strong opinions about foreign policy. He wrote a book, which apparently investigators have been reviewing that as well. That is also mentioned in this filing today. And Carolyn, also some more information about how he was planning this assassination attempt. Apparently, when he was pulled over by sheriffs in his car last Sunday, he did not make it very far before law enforcement found him driving. He had 6 cell phones in his vehicle at that time. One of the cell phones had a search on it that was asking how to get from Palm Beach County, where this all occurred, to Mexico. There was a driver's license with his name on it, also a passport, boxes of gloves, and also extra license plates, so potentially indicating that he was looking to leave the country. I would also just add, Carolyn, that we know in the last few hours that this pre-trial detainment hearing went on for about 3 hours today. At the end of that hearing, the judge there denied bond, so Routh will remain behind bars right now. Carolyn.
Let's talk about Secret Service protection around the former president. We know that this is the latest attempt on his life. There was a first attempt on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania. So what, if anything, has changed in terms of security surrounding the former president?
The acting Secret Service director has been very clear about the protective measures that they say former President Trump has been getting since that first assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. Ronald Rowe, the acting director, had a press conference last week that we were at, and he said that former President Trump now receives the highest level of protection that the Secret Service offers, and it is at the same level as President Biden, and he gets some of the same tactical resources, including counter-assault resources, which were there that day on the ground last week in West Palm Beach when this all unfolded. Now, the Secret Service director also saying last week that their protective measures of advancing the situation on the ground actually helped to potentially thwart this assassination attempt. They had a Secret Service agent in a golf cart that was about a hole or two ahead of the former president on his golf course in West Palm Beach last Sunday. That agent supposedly saw through the bushes on the side of the golf course a long barrel of a gun poking out of those bushes. The agent saw that and shot his own service weapon. Now, the suspect here, Routh, never got a shot off. He fled before that happened. But Ronald Rowe, the acting director, saying several times that their protective measures, their advancement that they did there in that situation, and the agent's quick thinking potentially thwarted what could have been a much worse situation had any more shots been fired at former President Trump. Carolyn.